as their storyline, traverse through history. I wanted to do a melody for 1883 and 1923 that would cross over. Hi, I'm Brian Tyler. I'm the composer for Yellowstone and 1923.
Let's talk about Yellowstone season 5, the themes that we hear throughout. Talk about how your score evolves.
As the story progresses, it's really cool how Taylor Sheridan has been writing this epic, sprawling tone poem, but it connects in history also to all the other projects that we do together, because there's 1883, which takes you all the way back and you find the history of the Duttons, and then 1923. But then as Yellowstone continues to move forward in the present, it's like that's always home base for us. So the thing that I'm always doing is making sure that the Yellowstone themes all connect to the main idea of what Yellowstone is musically. The music of what we know as the Old West is really the music of immigrants. It's like gypsy musicians and accordions and things like that, kind of more humble beginnings. And so the theme kind of has this like almost like a tragic lullaby type of feel, There's these kind of bending notes. And then the thing I really love about the score and what Taylor wants from Yellowstone is that things aren't really perfect. That kind of, you have to really bend that note, usually like on a cello or something like that. So it's like, it doesn't go, ba-da-da. It's like, it always, so you have these moments where things are like out of tune and imperfect, kind of like the characters, like we root for these characters, but you can see their flaws. For the voice of Yellowstone, the instrument that spoke most like a human being, but could be dark, was a cello. A violin just felt a little bit, or fiddle, like they're in there, but they're not the lead instrument. But for that main idea of the Duttons, I felt that the cello was the thing that spoke the most. It's like a human voice. Whereas a piano, when you're playing a piano, right? As you play piano, the first part of the note is the loudest, right? And it drops off. And so, but a human voice doesn't do that. A human voice goes, when you're playing a cello, it's, it has you can do a note starting very quietly. And you can do so many more things with it. And you can also do what we were talking about, like you can bend notes. So when you're going back and forth from instruments, I find that the most human kind of instrument, that does a melody is going to be a string instrument. And then there's like the idea that this music is coming from around the world. Like, for instance, we have this cimbalom, and it's Turkish. So you have these, these instruments like. And then at the very end where it says Yellowstone, it does. And it's just, it's like a rattlesnake shaker.
Talk a little bit about 1923, because you did the theme for that. Is there a cue that we hear in Yellowstone that we hear maybe an earlier version of it in 1923?
So here I am in the studio, And what I'm looking at here is that we have the elements of the theme. So there's this part that play it. That sound right there is one that is throughout the score, and it's called a charango. So this instrument here, it's an Argentinian instrument, and when you have it throughout reverb and it kind of settles in with the orchestra, it gives it a bit of that Yellowstone-y universe feel. And that crossed over into also 1883 and 1923, almost as if there's a signature kind of atmospheric sound to the Duttons themselves as their storyline traversed through history and how these inevitable fatalistic storylines like crashed into each other. And in that way, I wanted to do a melody for 1883 and 1923 that would cross over. So there's this kind of this crossover with the two melodies that kind of connects the two stories. There's a really interesting thing that Taylor does. I talked to all the actors and costume designers, and they're saying, wow, Taylor was playing your music out on set to set the mood. Usually the music is reacting to the picture. And in this way, I write music and I send that to him, and then he plays that for the actors. The actors take that in and they're influenced by the music, and then they start editing the picture, and it has music in it that I already wrote. So unlike most movies or shows or anything, it's not a reactive process. Taylor wants it woven into the fabric of everything.